Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets trembling, the bombs bursting in air, gave out through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray, and the home of the brave?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Freedom Network. My name is Gary Rosenberg, here with you, NCTV 11. So glad that you joined us. This is our second program that we've recorded here. I did want to give you some just some quick notes. We are ironing out a schedule. We are looking to go live, be able to take your calls, get your input right in real time, so we don't have to wait for emails at timorgary@gmail.com. That's timorgary@gmail.com. We'll talk about emails in a minute, but we will be on the air live, and we're either Monday or Tuesday. We're going to be live, and when we do that live show, it'll be on at 7 o'clock. It'll be rerun again Thursdays at 8, Saturdays and Sundays. I think it's at 7. Or maybe it's at 9. Sometimes I can't read my own writing too well. And Mondays it'll be at 9 unless we wind up shooting. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, you will hear the Freedom Network right here on NCTV 11. One of the things that we value immensely is the input of the people that watch the program. So we ask you to make sure that you email us. That's at timorgary@gmail.com. Just like that, no spaces. timorgary@gmail.com. Tim Corcoran produces. He's been a little under the weather. Troy's helping us out today. NCTV 11 has been fantastic, I'll say, through this whole process. It's fantastic. Nice studio, nice situation that they have set up here. They really are redoing things, and lots going on here. So obviously we have to start off. Before I even start off, 3 emails that we did get from our last program. If you don't tell me that I can make them public, I won't make them public. In past shows on other networks and things like that, other stations, we certainly have had some great debates. We will read them online. Your views can get out there. You can call in, of course, when we get live, and you can also email at Tim or Gary. So we do want to thank the people that emailed. I'm not going to touch on the content because you didn't tell me I could. I should have told you that last time. In any event, we definitely will begin the program. Let's talk about the vote that we just had here in the town of Northbridge. We voted on a lot of things. You can look up all the results online. We don't have to bore you with numbers and all that. I think everybody knows how the votes went. Although something that was very interesting, look up the blanks. A lot of blanks. To me, a blank is a vote of no confidence. So if you're running for a seat and nobody bothered to circle your bubble, you should look at that. If you if you're in the town or state or federally, you should look at that because people did not feel they were there and they didn't circle that bubble off for you. So you might want to think about that. To me, you never don't vote. If you don't know or if you don't like your choices, you go, you pull the ballot, and you blank because they count blanks. So go online, you can see it right on the town website, and you can see all those blanks. There were quite a few of them. But anyway, we all know the override went down. It seemed to go down pretty handedly. Do you think that that's because people are against the schools? I know a lot of people, and I have Facebook conversations with people, all good people, by the way. I think we should throw that out there that, the people I've encountered, I think want pretty much the same thing, and that's a town that is properly funded, properly funding our schools, making sure that we take care of them. They're the children, and that's what we got to do. That's where we need to begin. Our fire, our police departments also need proper funding. Government's a weird animal, if you will. It makes strange connections. Friends become on different sides. Just remember one thing. From where I sit, and in my opinion, I want the town strong. I don't want a stopgap measure that's going to fix something for a few years. I want something that's going to fix the problem. And I've been told that there's a lot of people in town that just don't want to fix the problem. Well, I don't believe that. I just don't want to believe that there's enough people in this town that just don't want to fund the schools at all. So I ask you to use that email address. We are forming. I'm not personally forming because I've got ties here to the program, but it will be an absolute platform for people to speak on. We are forming ideas now, and I want to put the right people together, okay? I want to have the people that want to fight for this all together to one message, because while I may differ and have voted differently than you may have, I still believe that we need to fund our schools properly. I also believe that we need to fund our other important services properly, and I think we need to do that first before we do anything else. I don't think that people voted against this as much as they voted against a plan that costs more and produces less. I mean, the fact of the matter is that they were going to be cutting from the budget either way. So I don't want to pay more for less, and I don't think a lot of people want to pay more for less, and I think that's where you saw, I don't think it was as big a margin in this election, but also don't forget, you had different reasons to go to the voting booth between this and the last time we did this. But people want a plan. If this is something that you want to do, you need to make a plan, and then you need to take this plan and you need to sell it. And you can't do that in 2 months or in even 3 months. We may need an override to jumpstart the plan. But if the plan is, hey, this gets us 5 years from now, I say that we can do better than that. And I did one further. Freedom Network that has landed here in Northbridge, we have some resources behind us. We have some, and you'll meet lots of them in the upcoming episodes of the Freedom Network. We've got military personnel. We've got incredible volunteers that do so much for children through programs, not limited to any scope, from scouting to a program called the Sea Cadets. We will have the person in charge of that. We'll get into that when the time comes. Charitable organizations that we will help to facilitate right here from the Freedom Network, where we will help you raise money for the schools and for other things that we want to do. We have a good track record of being involved with the community. And we've even got a legal team. And I called the legal team into the boardroom, and I said, guys, what's the deal with this, with the override and the funding and the money? This is where I stand. This is where the yes people stand. We're all, the funny thing is the comment was from somebody in the room said, well, don't you all want the same thing? I said, yeah, we do, but we're just fighting about how to get there. So I think we're going to have to move beyond this vote and then not sit here and gloat, because that would be stupid, because this isn't over. That's the thing. This can't be over. I think you saw a lot of protest votes. Not so much that they don't care about the schools, but we can rewrite our bylaws in our town. We can do that, okay? And we can also insist that schools are funded first. And we can make that actually in writing for our town. I've wanted to talk about this with people for months and months. But now we're gonna force the conversation. We don't have to wait for the town manager to allocate monies. We don't have to do these things. See, legally, we, with a majority, can change the power from our town to the people by insisting upon funding levels and percentages of budgets. And you know what's funny, folks? We won't be first if we can do this, but we'll be among the few. I think people want something different. I don't think they want the same old. I know I certainly don't want the same old. If we continue to fail to learn from failing, then we don't move forward. So we've lost 2 battles to fund our schools in recent years. We've deployed the same tactics, we've listed the same reasons, and you're going to continue to come up short if you do it again. But if you change people's minds about the importance of the school system and it can be the essence of a town, of why people want to move to a town with children into a good school system. Again, am I against an override? I'm not. And I'm a conservative, very fiscally conservative guy. I mean, I'm going to be quite honest with you. This could have been one of the very first, and if I have the ability to see what so many smart people in Northbridge have seen and want to continue, they have their hands out. If I have the chance to vote for this, and I know it's going to include an override, folks, and I know that some of you may not want to hear that, but it's true. You do have to give a little bit more, but you don't have to consistently give more the same way. That is the point. The budget is the budget. The divisiveness of the town saying, well, we're going to take this and do our thing, and this is your budget, and you'll have to go get an override to increase that. You're going to accept that from the people that lead this town? Are you going to accept that, people? Are you going to sit there and say, yeah, that's okay, that's just what they said, this is what it is, so I'll just vote no, and we won't get any money into the schools, the police can be underfunded, the fire can be underfunded, we'll underfund everything, because we won't stand up to a system that stinks? Well, that's not me, and I am going to bet that that's not you either. So there's no gloating. I won't have any of that. It's one of the reasons why I didn't have a guest on today, because I don't want that divisiveness. It's not about that somebody won or somebody lost, because in all reality, the only people that lost is the education system, and the fire department lost a few bucks. That's what lost. But in failure and in defeat, can we see light? Can we see something better than what we have? And again, I'm going to tell you there is better. And I have people willing to work on this with the town. And I know in this town there are people willing to take leadership positions. And if there aren't people that are already elected that want to take those leadership positions, you do not have to wait for another election to fix that problem either. This is your town. Not a bunch of guys or gals sitting up playing selectman and town manager, okay? It's your town. So take control of it. Email Tim or Gary at gmail.com. If you want to get involved, just simply say, I want to get involved. And get an email address in there. Within the body, we will compile them and forward them to the people. You can be sitting in a room talking about how to really fix your town. It's not about winning or losing. It's a much bigger problem, folks. It's a much bigger problem. So a lot more to come on this. We will always have an open air and a seat on either side for people that want to help to fix this town. Also, as I said before, lots of fundraising things happen. Please know, use that email address, timorgary@gmail.com, because you can let us know what you're doing, what you're promoting, what events are going on, and we will be happy to get that word out to our viewers and try to help you make money for your cause, try to help you put people in a spot for a wonderful event that will benefit others, right? Because that's the name of the game. Charity is what it's all about. And although people don't think that all the time, from a conservative, charity is actually given more to by conservatives than liberals. So go look that up and chew on that a while. Memorial Day just passed. Well, folks, Memorial Day passed. It came and went. Great celebration in the town of Northbridge. Great parade, great ceremony. It really was nice. See a lot of people, a lot of kids. What a great parade. You know, I sat and I watched it as it went on by, and it felt great. I'm not quite sure. I don't have my head quite around why there's two ceremonies in town yet, but I'm looking into that, so I won't comment on that yet. But I do know that there were two ceremonies. I did not see both. I can only tell you I saw the parade that went through downtown here, and then right behind it, the ceremony that took place in the field there was just, it was great. It was moving. The people that sang and whatnot did a fantastic job. The scouts were there. They were helping clean up afterwards. It's just a real good community feel to it. So I wanted to call that out. And also, you know, Memorial Day is a day that sometimes we forget what we're really not working for. Well, a lot of people do work on Memorial Day. It's not like that anymore. But, you know, why? It's not just a day to barbecue. It actually means something. So let's take a quick break. We're gonna watch a cool video clip dedicated to Memorial Day. We'll come back. We're gonna talk about government overreach and overpowering government and all that kind of cool stuff. Move the topics along a little bit. The Freedom Network, I'm Gary Rosenberg. So very glad you joined in. We'll be right back.
If we look to the answer as to why for so many years we achieved so much, prospered as no other people on earth, it was because here in this land we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. The sloping hills of Arlington National Cemetery, with its row upon row of simple white markers bearing crosses or stars of David, they add up to only a tiny fraction of the price that has been paid for our freedom. Each one of those markers is a monument to the kind of hero I spoke of earlier. Their lives ended in places called Belleau Wood, the Argonne, Omaha Beach, Salerno, and halfway around the world on Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Pork Chop Hill, the Chosin Reservoir, and in 100 rice paddies and jungles of a place called Vietnam. Under one such marker lies a young man, Martin Treptow, who left his job in a small-town barber shop in 1917 to go to France with the famed Rainbow Division. There on the Western Front, he was killed trying to carry a message between battalions under heavy artillery fire. We're told that on his body was found a diary. On the flyleaf, under the heading, My Pledge, he had written these words: America must win this war. Therefore, I will work I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure. I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone. We must realize that no arsenal or no weapon in the arsenals of the world is so formidable as the will and moral courage of free men and women. It is a weapon our adversaries in today's world do not have. It is a weapon that we as Americans do have. Let that be understood by those who practice terrorism and prey upon their neighbors. As for the enemies of freedom, those who are potential adversaries, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, sacrifice for it. We will not surrender for it now or ever. We are Americans.
Welcome back to the Freedom Network. Gary Rosenberg, you have found me on NCTV 11. So glad that you did, and so glad that we are here. One thing I will add to that, which is just a great, that Reagan piece is fantastic. Obviously, what it can't take into account the veterans that lost their lives fighting the war on terror. And I did want to just make mention of that, both in Afghanistan, Iraq 2 times, and elsewhere. We have seen terrorism, even in our own country, right here, in some military academies. Just some real heroes lost their lives defending our freedom once again. Wasn't part of that clip. Just wanted to toss that in there. Anyway, we move along, as we got to keep moving on the Freedom Network. We don't want to just get stagnant on one issue. Tim or Gary at gmail.com. Put you right in touch with us. We told you we were going to talk a little bit about government overreach and just kind of the crazy things that the government does. You know, we're very fortunate in Northbridge. My experience, while limited, through the Scouts with my son and some other positive things, I've had some interactions with the police department here in Northbridge. Very professional people that work, even when they're doing the road construction or details and that kind of stuff. Just, you know, they have a smile for you. This seems like a really well-run outfit. Now, again, I've not lived in Northbridge all my life, but I've been here probably, I don't know, 7 years or so, somewhere in that area anyway. And a very professional group of people that I must commend, because, you know, we like to poke at the government and at all government agencies, and we're about to do it right now. But there is good within. There's always good within. Never forget that. But it has been nice and refreshing. Now, we had been on in Stoughton, Massachusetts. Now, if you want to go on and Google corruption Stoughton, Massachusetts, you will find plenty. We dedicated show after show after show, FBI investigations, things of that nature. And when you look at Northbridge, I will say that you do see a town whose police force seems to understand that the rights of the citizens is they're very important, and they have to be first and foremost. And I just want to take a second and just commend the Northbridge Police Department for just always seeming to have that professionalism, where so many towns do not. Yeah, and it gets me thinking. It's almost like you get pulled over by a police officer. Let's say you're whipping down 495 and Stady comes up behind you and pulls you over, right? And maybe you're doing 77 miles an hour and you're speeding. You should be pulled over, I guess, right? I mean, that's what it is. You can't circumvent laws by just breaking them. If you don't like a law, you can't just break it because you don't like it. If you think the speed limit should be 85 miles an hour, you got to get some people behind it and do it the right way. You can't just go drive 80 miles an hour. That said, all of a sudden somebody comes up behind you, right? And now you're who you are. You're a good person. You're not a lawbreaker by trade, if you will. But this cruiser comes up behind you, man. The lights are flashing like crazy. Your heart starts beeping. You know there's a guy in there. He's armed. He's got a gun. He's got his radio. He's in a very fast vehicle. He comes whooping up beside you. You pull over as quick as you can safely. He comes out and this should be I would think, a very polite interaction between the officer and the citizen. It shouldn't certainly start off as a confrontation. One thing that gets me now, thank goodness, I don't speed, so I don't get a lot of speeding tickets. I did get one on my 18th birthday, though, and that really aggravated me, and I was speeding. I thought the guy could have cut me a deal, but he didn't cut me a deal. In any event, I was with a friend of mine not maybe 3-4 months ago. He got pulled over for doing, I think it was 48 in a 35. So he was really moving, and we were actually arguing about it too. And you know who you are, so you should slow down out there. But anyway, when the officer came up, do you know why I pulled you over? And that bothers the you-know-what out of me, because I think that it should be, sir, I pulled you over because, by pulling me over, right, if I'm driving, or by pulling you over, an officer is interrupting your rights, is what they're doing. And I think they should have to tell you why. The follow-up question of, where are you going? Where are you coming from? In the first interaction, now, if there's extenuating circumstances, obviously the officer has got to be able to probe and find out what's going on. But in a routine traffic stop, all due respect, it's none of your damn business where I'm going or where I've been. It's the United States of America. I could drive wherever the heck I want. And I think that can put people on the defensive, especially your constitutionalist type of people that believe in that, that type of thing. And, sometimes it ends there and sometimes it doesn't. In the end, we don't see that in our town, but you would be amazed at what goes on in other towns and other police departments. And it amazes me when we know that there are good people. I know very personally a wonderful human being that we'll probably hear from maybe at some point on our program here. But, trying to get into law enforcement, good, solid, person that believes in the Constitution. These should be cornerstones of people that are allowed to become police officers. A solid belief that my constitutional rights are the most important thing of the day. We've seen it on the news recently, trying to, take land, not take land, whose cows are these, law enforcement has really been stepping up its game, if you will. And when they do that, it happens against the citizens. It's just the nature of the beast. It's how it works. I mean, you can go all over. I mean, there's a million stories of police overstepping their rights, to be honest with you, and coming into ours. But, what's interesting is that we don't always hear about, we like to point the fingers at the police departments, right? But we don't always hear about every time they save somebody. When they pull somebody over and they get caught drunk driving, we immediately say, all their friends are so upset because he got caught drunk driving. And the message really needs to be that police officer just probably saved not only your life, but possibly my life as well. So I do want them to pull you over when you're driving erratically and that kind of stuff. But I think that as we allow this encroachment into our civil rights, where we're going to be okay, that a police officer can ask us where we've been, ask us where we're going, and then that the police officer would look negatively upon me if I said, well, I don't have to tell you that, sir. I don't have to tell you that. Well, what would that interaction then look like? That's the problem. And it's when we allow these things that we start to get the people in the positions of power that we don't want. And believe me when I tell you, there are wonderful, wonderful people that can keep you safer than you would ever know, that can also follow the Constitution. And you have a great example of that right here in Northbridge, like I started out saying. Let's talk about Social Security. Do you know, if you deny yourself, if you say, exempt yourself, I'm not going to take Medicare. I don't want to be part of the Medicare program. I'm all done with it. Then you don't get Social Security. Yeah, that's right. If you don't take them up on the government Medicare program, they cut off your Social Security benefits as well. Such a good deal. if you don't like what Medicare has to offer, or how they offer it, or how they run the program, then you don't get your Social Security. Look that up. They come as a set, folks. It's unbelievable, the rules. I put a whole bunch of stuff on paper, just crazy rules. One of them was the policeman asking me where I've been. Now, we can digress and say that if you were talking with the police officer and he noticed that there was a problem, one of a billion that I'm sure there could be, and he wanted to, or she wanted to probe in and see what was going on, I think that's okay too. One thing you'll find is that you need law and order, and you need good police officers, but beyond just police officers, when it goes up the level and it goes into the areas that really govern you, and the enforcement of the government then becomes the sheriff's departments and police forces to an extent, but thank goodness we have some control over that locally. But you don't over the FBI, you don't over different task forces that they have now, Homeland Security that we're going to be talking about, confiscation of firearms during a state emergency. You're going to learn real fast that one thing about the Freedom Network is we are 100% in support of your right to bear arms. Now, I'm going to tell you, I could go on and on about this issue, and we will have shows on this issue because I've got specialists that are far more well-versed in this than I am. But before I start to talk to you about what happened in New Orleans, I do want to talk to you about the fact that the Constitution and then the Bill of Rights that we have, the amendments to the Constitution, are not things that I take lightly at all. As a matter of fact, if you ever hear of the Federalist Papers, the Federalist Papers were written, and we're going to get into all that in another program. I'm just going to digress for 30 seconds, I promise. James Madison, Google that. Always find your own information, folks. Don't wait for CNN and NBC and ABC and even Fox and don't wait for them to tell you. You got to get up off your butts. You got to get to a computer and you've got to research articles and things and find that happy medium to find the truth. Because you're going to find a lot of right-wing stuff and they're all going to slant to the right, and the left-wing stuff will all slant to the left, and that's fine, but you've got to expose yourself to all that. You've got to read all that to actually find the truth. You've got to educate yourself. There's no real one place I can send you to get the proper things, but I can send you to Google the Federalist Papers, James Madison, and read what he wrote about the people having the right to bear arms. And I can summarize for you. The reason it's in there is quite simple. First and foremost, people need to have arms, because they were building a country. Let me tell you, this country was built with guns. That's the reality of it, okay? If we didn't have guns, we wouldn't have the United States of America. The fact is that they also needed a militia, and I hear the arguments there. We use commas, it's a list, okay? That's what it is. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. The reason that that's in there, according to James Madison, who I would take his opinion a little bit, maybe a little bit more weighted than I might take Barack Obama's opinion on the Constitution, because, you know, there's a little more distance. You know, this guy was there. So anyway, why did you put this in there? Why was it put in there? And it was because should the military ever become too powerful, right, and want to take over Washington, if you will, that the people would need to be able to defend the country, not just the militia. This is their written words. This isn't my interpretation of 5 sentences. But we lose sight of that. And we just want to say that we should make all these, you know, gun laws and things of that nature. Criminals don't follow gun laws, folks. They don't. Here's a perfect example. You remember full well, Hurricane Katrina broke the levees, flooded New Orleans. 1,500 people died. Looters ran into the streets, and innocents were attacked by criminals that were taking advantage of the situation. And they were shooting at firemen. They were shooting at rescue workers. But don't worry, to the rescue came law enforcement, full support of the mayor of New Orleans. It almost is like the Keystone Cops. When what they did is unbelievable. They decided taking away guns for potential victims was the best way to fight crime. Don't forget that some law enforcement personnel decided to take matters into their own hands, and they got out of the city altogether, which is too bad. Again, it paints police officers that they always get painted. You only hear the bad, you don't hear the good, and that's not fair. We have a show that we will do that is all about the great things that police do, and we will certainly invite the Northbridge Police to be part of that. Anyway, local law enforcement and the National Guard were instrumental in house-to-house firearm confiscations, stop and frisks on the streets that resulted in confiscation of defensive weapons by law-abiding citizens. They disarmed the innocent civilians just when they needed the protection the most. As the looters are out in the streets, people, they're running around and they're confiscating legally owned guns. Oh. This was gun control in its finest hour. You know, disarming the law-abiding at the very moment when they need it for self-defense, okay? An example of us getting what we deserve, okay? Because you know what? We put them all in office. We make all of these people powerful that don't want to follow our Constitution. I mean, I'm not a big fan that a police chief might have the say on whether a citizen has the right to get a license to carry. That's nowhere in our Constitution. Now, I understand that we need checks and balances. Boy, oh, let me tell you, what we have in this country as far as firearms is a huge mental health issue, where we have access to guns that they shouldn't have access to. Many times these are illegal guns, and sometimes these are not illegal guns. But I'm going to tell you something, and these are some hard words to hear, but what do we see in gun deaths a year? Okay? I've heard, and I'll get, for our total gun show, I will get all the numbers for you. Is it 30,000? Is it 40,000? These are big numbers that we see. We're a country of 300 plus million people. Okay? And 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, even 100,000 people cannot negate the rights or incidences as opposed to people. I'm sorry, they can't negate the rights of the populace. It's awful that somebody went in and shot up a school. Banning all guns is not going to prevent that. Banning drugs does not prevent drug use. You cannot legally have heroin in Northbridge. Do you want to bet that I could go find heroin in Northbridge? If my life depended on it, I bet you darn butt I could. Laws don't make things okay and make things safe. Sometimes you need to be able to make things safe yourself. But the people in New Orleans put the administration right back into office after the storm. They didn't get their people out to the voting booths. It was a tough spot, let me tell you. It's proof positive that the National Guard isn't the militia, because the militia is an armed citizenry, and the armed force went about disarming the citizenry. This is exactly why the Second Amendment is in there, and exactly why confiscating those firearms in New Orleans was illegal. Plain and simple. Against the law. Shouldn't have been done. And the people doing it should have said, no, we can't do this. This is against the law. And until we get people in that are going to say, no, this is against the law, it's against the Constitution, we can't do that, then we're going to have some problems. We are going to have some problems. Let's talk about the Patriot Act. But before we talk about the Patriot Act, I found something on YouTube. It was pretty funny. So we're going to take a quick break. A lot of gaffes by politicians. I want you to check this out. We'll come back. We'll challenge again. If I'm making you aggravated with anything I'm saying, please. That's the whole point of the program. We want the debate. Let me know. Tim or Gary at gmail.com. I'm Gary Rosenberg on the Freedom Network. I'm going to be back in just a couple minutes.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
And guess what this liberal would be all about? This liberal will be all about socializing, would be about basically taking over and the government running all of your companies.
I think when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everybody.
That
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Isn't it a little racist to call it Black Friday?
I took the initiative in creating the internet.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go.
Today we have two Vietnams, side by side, North and South.
Therefore, I believe in white supremacy.
Every month that we do not have an economic recovery package, 500 million Americans lose their jobs.
You don't trust me?
Fallen heroes, and I see many of them in the audience here today.
And it happens to be, as Barack says, a three-letter word, jobs, J-O-B-S, jobs.
Proposition 19 won't even legalize marijuana. It will still be legal under federal law.
By saying we will put 2.2 million people to work in the simplest way, we will hire them. We will hire them.
I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
Our national interest ought to be to encourage the best, and the brightest. Hillary Clinton is as qualified or more qualified than I am to be Vice President of the United States of America. Quite frankly, it might have been a better pick than me.
I don't know that Hillary Rosen, I know three personally, women named Hillary Rosen, so I'm not sure that that those represent the person we're talking about.
A man who will be the next President of the United States, Barack America.
Rush Limbaugh, I hope the country fails. I hope his kidneys fail. How about that? He needs a good waterboarding. That's what he needs.
That John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate.
I know I'm a broken record about religion, but you know, when that stuff is in your head, it just gives you this neurological disorder.
Education, if you make the most of it, you study hard, you do your homework, and you make an effort to be smart, you can do well. If you don't, you get stuck in Iraq. God rest her soul, and although your mom's still alive as your dad passed. God bless her soul.
Oh, that's very good, Mr. President. This is like Special Olympics or something.
Stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck.
A lot of funny stuff there. Chuck, just in case you don't know, Chuck, they were honoring, he's in a wheelchair. So there's a lot of those. And don't worry, we'll get some from the right. I have plenty of clips. Bush and everybody else. We equal opportunity bash everybody in Washington because, to be honest with you, they all deserve it. Back to the Freedom Network. You are Gary Rosenberg here, your host. timagary@gmail.com. That's right how you get to me. You can immediately get access. We do answer every email, and we always, no issues. Citizen guests, we will make time, get you in for a segment. If you have something that you wanted to talk about locally, especially, and let me know what's going on locally so that we can help to promote your various causes and help to air your gripes, because we certainly have no issues doing that at all. Controversy is not something that we shy away from. You'll learn that very quickly about me. But again, happy to be here in Northbridge on NCTV 11. It's been a great experience so far, and I'm sure it's going to continue on just that way. The Patriot Act. It's anything but patriotic, folks. You know, here's a law that many in Congress passed without even reading it. Kind of like Obamacare, right? We know how good that worked out, or is working out. Well, in any event, the Patriot Act. Well, let me tell you something about the Patriot Act. This obviously was done in the wake of the 9/11 attacks, 2001, on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon. Our leaders in Congress, saying God bless America, and together acted like they might have some interest in the United States of America, instead of just their own, you know, careers and their own musings and things of that nature. But as part of that flurry, they passed this Patriot Act. Law allows for abuse of power by law enforcement, intercepting and sharing phone calls, electronic mail, roving surveillance. Some stuff that's pretty scary, folks. Collecting library records about individuals without the need to suspect them of illegal activities. issuing national security letters that are, in effect, warrants to search without probable cause. That's a warrantless search that can be conducted secretly without an individual's knowledge. All in all, big violation of our Bill of Rights, something that our leaders passed with ease. Yeah, I mean, it's just more abuse of power for citizens to deal with. Think about it for a minute. What's going on in America today is where we're seeing Snowden fleeing to Russia, spilling secrets. We're seeing people motivated like that to basically be treasonous for the greater good. Is it the greater good? I'm very conflicted in the Snowden situation. I feel that we look weak because we can't get the guy back here and prosecute him, but there's a piece of me that thinks he had to say what he had to say. Tough spot, tough issue. But we've got Obama flying around, drones. They're around, folks. They're flying, helicopters unmarked. They're looking at you. I'm not paranoid. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. I have a great conspiracy theorist that will come on this program, and you know he's going to blow your mind because he's got me convinced of a couple of things. But I'm more of not a conspiracy theorist. I like to find other answers to things, but in some cases, you got to look at things twice. What are we doing? What are we allowing the government to do? Why are we allowing the government to trample on our rights? I mean, don't forget what Ben Franklin said, folks. I mean, if we're willing to sacrifice that liberty for the security, do we deserve the liberty? I mean, freedom has a price, and we need to be ready to deal with that price through strong militaries, through following our Constitution. And yeah, there's some real scumbags that we've let into the country, and we want to find them, we want to follow them, we want to check their emails. And man, it makes sense to me. I'm not going to lie to you. It does. It makes sense to me. And in the beginning, I was almost for all of this. But looking at how this administration has abused this power as this thing gets rolling, and I'm not saying that Bush wouldn't have abused the power, but it just wasn't rolling enough yet. Maybe he would have, maybe he wouldn't have. We'll never know. But we know Obama has. And we got to start calling these guys and these girls to task over this. They work for you. You don't work for the government. You employ these people. They serve at your desire. When you no longer desire them, get rid of them. You can see what's happening. Don't forget, the United States of America is a young country. Other countries have gone through changes and have been pulled so far. Look at the election that just happened in Europe. Did you see how many right-leaning political party and affiliations won throughout the EU, throughout the European Union? It was pretty serious. You're going to see the same thing probably happen here in America because we've been exposed to such radical ideas about changing our Constitution and just through executive fiat. Concealed firearms carry permits require, well, and they should be there. I mean, I do think that there should be some way of regulating people that are going to have firearms. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. New York, though, look at Obama's Chicago. I mean, places where they've banned guns outright don't have low crime rates, folks. Where are you going to go commit your crimes? If you know that people are not armed for a fact because it would be illegal, then the only people that are armed are the people breaking the law. It just makes no damn sense to me. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. New York has a ban on serving food in restaurants made with trans fat. They're trying to repeal it, or maybe they just did repeal it. Then the gulp thing. They wanted just to have a small soda. You couldn't have a big soda. What are we doing? Are you really seriously engaging even in that conversation? Everybody that was politically elected that engaged in that conversation, voted on it, and allowed it to even come to the floor should be summarily thrown out of office. They don't ban selling cigarettes, though. That's interesting, isn't it? You can always get cigarettes and booze, man. No problem there. No problem there. That'll kill you a lot quicker, I think, than a cheeseburger once a week. But if you ate the cigarettes, maybe then they would, then maybe they would want to, maybe they would want to have a little say on that. I'm sure that the liberals would certainly want to. You know, after signing Obamacare into law in 2010, the Obama administration immediately began circumventing the checks and balances system. And they have been up until just last month. Health and Human Services began to just wield legislative authority like crazy, granting waivers to companies and establishing new bureaucracies, setting new budgets and new guidelines for implementing Obamacare wholly without any oversight from Congress. And we sat by and let that happen. In 2012, President Obama's Health and Human Service Department announced a so-called contraceptive mandate, which requires all employers, including religious charities and institutions, to provide free contraception to all employees, a clear violation of the Constitution's guarantees for freedom of conscience and for freedom of religion. How the hell can you tell me that Obama can tell a church in Northbridge that if they have health benefits, that they will have to provide contraception to the people at the church? Come on. That's all wet. You know it's all wet. We all know it's all wet. Doesn't matter what we believe personally. The government can't tell the church what it's got to do. Can't tell the temple what it needs to do. That's baloney. That's just outrageous, outrageous, outrageous baloney. Let's see what else I can get to here. Oh, back in 2010, they filed a lawsuit against the state of Arizona for enforcing immigration laws. Now, this is an Obama classic, folks. In 2010, it was July, the Obama Justice Department files a lawsuit against the state of Arizona for enforcing immigration laws. Rather than partnering with Arizona and other states on the border to enforce federal immigration laws that are already on the books, they already exist. They already exist. Yes, I'm going to pound the table now. Arizona was just enforcing the laws that Obama refused to enforce. Under our system of checks and balances, one would seem to think that presidents don't have the authority to pick and choose which laws they're going to enforce. But, I mean, I don't have enough time to run through all these. Let's see. What else do we have here? What else is here? Obama's Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, implemented one job-killing policy after another. No congressional approval or oversight. Do you know that in June of 2013, President Obama announced that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security will no longer deport young illegal immigrants who meet certain criteria. The criteria is proposed by the controversial DREAM Act, which has been working its way through Congress, and we know we've seen that on the air, right? You've seen that all over the news. Rather than respecting and enforcing laws that have been passed through the legislative process, though, Obama is moving ahead of the process, creating his own law that is politically convenient for him in an election year. Folks, what the hell are we doing? Where are the liberals? Anyway, where's the liberal outrage about all this stuff? Unchecked, no balances, overreaching government agencies. What are we doing? President's issued over 23 new edicts aimed at curbing individuals' gun rights. At the same time, as federal agencies are stockpiling more and more weapons. I've only got a few minutes left here, folks. But let me ask you this. Do you know that the Department of Homeland Security has ordered and is going to purchase 1.4 billion rounds of ammunition at the very point that the government is trying to make it harder for citizens to arm themselves? 300 million of us. How many bullets do you need? It's Homeland Security. Is your aim really that bad? I mean, that you don't think you could hit us? Do you want to shoot at the American people? 1.5 billion rounds? Look it up, folks. All this information is there for you to see. It's all public. Principled liberal should be horrified about all this. Just horrified. I don't know where my liberal friends are on all these things. You know what? I'll tell you. 23 gun control on the horizon. 23 edicts will be coming at us. It's amazing how time flies. I want to dive deep into all of these topics with you. They're going to start waving me off the air any minute now, folks. We do have a couple minutes left. I'll go back to the vote, to the override real quick. Again, it's not someone won and somebody lost. That's not how we can look at this. Okay, folks? We got to look at this as, can we please come together? The sane no people, I guess, that would want to invest more in our town, and I know there's hundreds, if not thousands of us, and the yes people that wanted to put forward their plan. Can we come together and make a plan and help the town and put our own personal differences aside. I've been asking this for months. My phone has not rang. timorgary@gmail.com. Many of you know me on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. I don't friend a lot of people on Facebook that I don't know, but you can certainly send me a message there. I have people that want to help, and we want you to help as well, and there's a seat at the table for you. That's my time, folks. I'm Gary Rosenberg on the Freedom Network, right here on NCTV 11. It's timorgary@gmail.com. Tell me you think I'm nuts. Tell me you like the content. Get us any info you want. We will be here every single week right here on NCTV 11. So get used to us. Thank you. Have a great day.
Those on